So, with Matt Reeves' The Batman out in theaters this weekend, we finally have quite a lot of Batman movies, some definitely better than others. So today we're gonna stop and rank all 10 live-action Batman movies. So let's get into it. Hello friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp side. And before we get into it, let me just say that I don't personally dislike any of the live-action Batman movies. I think they all have their spot in history for what they were trying to accomplish, but definitely the quality of each one can vary quite a bit. So this is just my own personal list, it's my own opinion, I'm not saying it's the correct one. You may have a different ranking of these movies. If so, comment down below how you would rank these Batman movies, and let's compare notes. But anyway, let's get going. So, starting things off, we've got Batman the movie, based on the Adam West show of basically the same name. Now, personally, I love this movie, and I think Adam West's Batman run is severely underappreciated. While yes, I do prefer a dark and gritty take on the Batman, this fun, lighthearted, campy iteration, it just got a charm to it that I just simply cannot avoid. It's got all the fun gags and stuff from the show, like the pow, the bam, the sock, the cliffhangers, and just some really ridiculous elements in there. Plus, it's got an exploding shark. What more do you need? However, in comparison to some of the other Batman movies on our list here, it is not one of the stronger ones, so I'm gonna put it into the C category. Next up, we've got Batman '89, the Tim Burton directed movie starring Michael Keaton. Now, I also really love this movie for obviously different reasons. It's the movie that made audiences realize that Batman can be dark and gritty and just all around cool again. The production design is absolutely fantastic. Michael Keaton does a great job of just bringing this presence to Batman with a cape and just the way he moves and how he barely talks. Not to mention Jack Nicholson is an incredible Joker. But, you know, there are a few things about this movie that arguably don't hold up too well, like the use of the Prince music and just a couple things that mess with the lore of Batman a little bit, which some fans have definitely taken issue to. So I'm going to put Batman '89 into the B category. And then we've got Batman Returns, which a lot of fans of the Tim Burton era of Batman preferred this one over 1989, which I definitely understand. It takes the production design to a whole new level, the costumes look even better, Danny DeVito is incredible as the Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer does a great job as Catwoman alongside Michael Keaton's Batman, and it just tells a really sad and tragic story that's not trying to be a big superhero spectacle, so it definitely takes the dark elements of the first movie and just takes them to a whole new level. I would definitely say that Batman Returns is a better made movie than the first one, but I'm still going to put it into the B category. And then we've got Batman Forever, which was a complete tonal shift from the first two movies, making things a little bit lighter hearted, a little more colorful, kind of going back to the campiness of the 60s show, but giving it a little bit of a contemporary twist to it. Well, you know, contemporary as in 1995, but you know. And there are quite a few Batman fans who don't like the Joel Schumacher era of Batman, which I can understand that, but I think Batman Forever is just a bit underappreciated. It doesn't try to go completely goofy and cartoony. Yes, it's designed more to sell toys and just appeal to a broader audience, but I do think the movie shines really well when talking about Bruce Wayne's psychology and why he became Batman and why he needs that balance between being Bruce Wayne and Batman. Of course, the villains in this movie are a bit goofy, with Tommy Lee Jones just flipping a coin and laughing maniacally throughout the whole thing, which is not exactly how Two-Face behaves, but I just can't help but enjoy that because it's Tommy Lee Jones being all wacky and goofy when he's usually, you know, just Mr. Deadpan, serious actor guy. And then of course you got Jim Carrey as the Riddler, who is just Jim Carrey doing his Jim Carrey thing in green spandex. So it's definitely not my favorite Batman movie, but I do think it deserves more credit than it gets, so I'm gonna put it into the reasonable quantity of Batnips tier. And then we get to Batman and Robin, the movie that basically killed the franchise and comic book movies in general for several years until Blade and the X-Men and Spider-Man came in and saved us all. While Batman Forever did a decent job of trying to balance, you know, the commercial appeal of this movie, but, you know, still go into the psyche of Bruce Wayne and all that, this one is just purely a toy commercial with new bat suits every so often, tons of shiny vehicles that light up like a toy would. Then you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze just saying all the icy puns. Let's kick some ice. I have a little bit of a soft spot for this movie just because I remember renting it from Hollywood Video when I was like 4 years old, so it's got a little bit of a sentimental value to me, but also it's Batman and Robin, so I have no choice but to put it into the Batnips from Hell category. And now we've made it to Batman Begins, the start of Chris Nolan's trilogy, and this movie is absolutely amazing. I love it to death. I have a hard time deciding whether I prefer this one or The Dark Knight. As a kid, I remember watching it at home on DVD and just fast-forwarding the part where he becomes Batman, and that's it. But as I've gotten older, I've really appreciated how they show him becoming Batman, going from his parents getting murdered, to him traveling the world, to being trained by the League of Shadows, and then coming back, and then assembling the Batsuit together, and how it was nicely woven into the main conflict once he does become Batman. I also love the Batsuit in this movie. I preferred this one over the Dark Knight suit, definitely. It's bigger, it's more thematic, it's more intimidating. The movie's not perfect, you know, it kind of just throws Scarecrow away towards the final battle and a couple little nitpicky things here and there, but I still think this is a fantastic movie, and I'm gonna put it into the A category. And now we've got The Dark Knight, which is hailed as one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, and deservedly so. Not only do you have Heath Ledger's amazing and iconic performance as the Joker, but it just takes everything to a whole new level, larger scale, shooting with IMAX cameras. The action is certainly improved from the first movie. It tells a really compelling story about the morality of the general public and what it means for Batman to take on criminals like this and what might have to be done in order to take them down. It is overall just a masterclass of comic book filmmaking, and of course I have to put it into the S tier. And then we've got The Dark Knight Rises, which had the unfortunate challenge of following up The Dark Knight, and I think overall it's a really well-made conclusion to the Dark Knight trilogy, and once again has an iconic villain in the form of Tom Hardy as Bane, and getting to see Batman take on somebody who is physically superior to him, and seeing him have to rise up from his pain and go save Gotham City and be the hero that they need. Now granted, it's got quite a few flaws to it, like different gaps in logic and a few random plot holes, like how Bruce just magically teleported back into Gotham City even though the bridges are destroyed. Granted, he's Batman, he could certainly make his way back in. It's just a couple areas where the movie can get a little bit sloppy at times, but overall, I think this is a fantastic movie as well. I'm gonna put it right next to Batman Begins in the A tier. And now we're at Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Now for the sake of this video, I'm talking about the Ultimate Edition, not the theatrical one. The theatrical one doesn't count, and ever since this movie came out in 2016, it has just been mixed review central. Some love it, some absolutely despise it. There's a few things that most people can agree on, like Ben Affleck being an incredible, jaded, 20-year veteran as Batman, as well as the overall visual aesthetic of the movie, and the action sequences, especially the Batmobile chase and the warehouse scene, just and I've certainly had my own mixed feelings about it over the years, but I've always been in the positive camp when it comes to this movie, and just honestly over the years, every time I watch it, there's just something about it that starts to click with me even more, especially after last year when we got Zack Snyder's Justice League, and we kind of just started to see pieces of the puzzle truly come together, so we know what this movie was leading into, which I think just enhances this movie as well. But honestly, if you absolutely hate this movie or just simply don't like it, anything I say is just not gonna change your opinion just because it's one of those movies that everyone's got a very strong feeling on. Some of you might not like what I do here, but I am going to put it into the A category. And last but not least, we have The Batman, which just came out a couple days ago. If you want to hear my full thoughts on this movie, I'll put a link to my reviews somewhere up here, but I think this movie delivered on everything it promised. It's a dark, gritty detective story with arguably the best looking Gotham City we've ever seen. Robert Pattinson is absolutely incredible as Batman, and he's Batman for like 85-90% of the movie, which is just impressive because other movies it's like, oh, it's been 30 minutes, I guess we should put Batman back in there, and that seems like a good idea. I think this movie is truly the beginning of something incredible. There are a couple things about the movie I would like to see improved on, or at least just fleshed out a little bit more in sequels, which I do think we will, but for now, I'm gonna put The Batman into the S tier. So that's my complete ranking for all 10 Batman movies. If you want to see some more Batman related content, you can check out this video right over here. Or if you want to see what YouTube recommends you watch me next, you can check out that video right down there. And of course, subscribe if you live, talk, and buy movies. And we'll see you on the Brockopp side.